much for watching Shasta's Journey. My name is Shasta Garcia, and I'm the host of Shasta's Journey. This show is all about my path to purpose, and along the way, I get to meet so many incredible people with stories that can teach, heal, or inspire one of you. Now, in this episode, I have an amazing woman of God, and her name is Sonia Hassey. She is the president and founder of Destiny Women Global, which is an organization that really focuses on helping women to become leaders and also to find their purpose. And that is just one of the many hats and roles that she plays just as a disciple of God. And I'm really excited to share her story with you and just everything that God is doing in and through her throughout her life. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. We actually met on the Barb Marshall
Yes,
set.
we did.
And for those of you who don't know Barb Marshall, she's also another faith-based talk show. And so she was just incredible. And then I got to meet her and everything was just great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know Sonia, she's actually from Elk Grove, correct?
Yes. The business is based in Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how long has that been going on for, Destiny Women Global?
Well, it started as the actual foundation is Women Inspired Network Incorporated. And so the Destiny Women Global is the leadership program. So it's one of the legs that was birthed from Women Inspired Network. So as a whole, it'll be 4 years, December 5th.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
How did that all come to
man.
be? I mean, this is an amazing organization. I see posts about it all the time of women and their testimonials and just how it's changing their life. And so how did that all come to be? How did God use that and use you to make it happen?
Yes, it all began with my journey of feeling depressed for many years and not knowing who I was, not knowing my own identity, who I was, even as a teenager, getting married early, very young. I was married at 21, and just not knowing my purpose at all for so many years. And, I was a believer. I went to church, and I put on the happy face, but I was dying inside. I was depressed a lot and very insecure. The insecurity became... it tormented me, and it got so bad that went on for years and years and years until I got into my very late 30s. And I'll never forget, being in church and being in a classroom and being asked to pray. I was like, no, I'm not even worthy to pray out loud. That's how insecure I was. That's how bad it was. And so to me, that was that awoken something in me to believe that, wow, you think that less of you, and that you couldn't even pray. Now, there was about 20 people in the class, and the pastor looked at me like, are you going to pray? I'm asking you. I didn't.
Wow.
I couldn't do it. So I'll never forget that day. I remember leaving, picking up my two daughters and going home and just being in tears like, wow, you cannot even pray. Like it just hit me like a rock. And I'll never forget that evening, like taking my daughters to bed and going to the living room and just crying out to God, like literally, like just so broken. Like I felt like I just was head on with my identity. Like, who are you? Like, why don't you love yourself? Like, why do you feel this way? And I'm like, God, help me. Who am I? So that was that breaking point. And so I prayed for 2 hours, literally on the carpet, and I didn't feel anything. I just felt sore. My face. You ever cried so much your face hurts and your heart hurts, and that's how it was. And I remember having to go to work the next day, and I remember telling myself, Lord, no, I'm going to seek you until I find you, because that's what your word says, to seek you, and we will be found by you. And so that next evening, I couldn't wait for my kids to go to bed, because I got to go meet with God. I just need to cry out to him. I need to find him. He's going to meet me. Like I just had this, I was that desperate, and so I remember being there and again being on the carpet for 2 hours and just crying and asking the Lord, like, God, who am I? Like, please help me. Like, why do I feel this way? I cry every day. Why do I feel this way? And I didn't get anything. Like, sometimes God speaks to your heart, in your
Sometimes
spirit.
Sometimes the teacher's quiet during the test.
I know. I know. Yeah. And so I remember and I'm going, okay, you're not going to talk to me. So I remember turning off the lights and going down the hallway. And as soon as I went into the middle of the hallway, I heard a voice. And the voice said, confidence. And I was like, what? Like, what? And he said, confidence. And he said, I am confidence. The very thing I needed. He said, I am. He said he was. So that was the birthing of my healing of so many years of just feeling desperate, depressed, no identity as a believer.
Yeah,
as a believer, okay?
It's mind-boggling, but you know what? That's a part of our stories, and we have to go through those types of things to meet God and to grow closer to Him.
Yes.
Because if our life were just perfect and everything, like how would we grow?
How would we grow? Absolutely. And so, yeah. So that was like, to me, the birth of my healing, because I felt like something, like my spirit was touched, like something was touched, like the healing balm. But I wasn't transformed in one day either. So, but I at least had the courage to read my Bible more, get another book on personal development. How do I deal with people? How do I deal with myself? How do I love myself? Taking a class, like I started taking all these little action steps. And so then I took more and took more and took more. And then I'll never forget meeting a pastor. And he said, do you want to go to the Philippines with me and my wife? And I will mentor you for 2 weeks. And that was part of my life-changing experience as well. And so when I came back from that trip, I had like this new awareness, like, wow, there is life out there and there's so much to live for. And so from there, I decided to become a personal life coach. And prior to that, I was a hairstylist for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I knew now there was a deeper purpose.
Yes, you had a greater purpose.
A greater purpose. So now I just kept biting. I had this hunger inside of me. And so from there, I would take my daughter to the youth, and from that, I had a hunger to teach a youth leadership program. And I was thinking, it was like God impressed that in my heart, and I'm like, I've never taught before, and you're talking leadership. I'm like, how do you do this? I will never forget. I'll never forget what was so impressed in my heart was, I will teach you. Every week, I will teach you. And it was a 2-hour leadership class every week, every Sunday, and I taught it for 4 years.
Wow, that's
never
incredible.
missed a Sunday.
That's amazing.
And that was very transformational for me. And I remember the Lord speaking to my heart and saying, this chapter will end now. And now you're going to learn more. And He didn't say anything about women until like a year later. And I said, what am I to do now? I have my life purpose coaching certification. What do I do? And He said, it's women. It's women. And so from there, that's when Women Inspired Network was birthed.
And how have you been able to impact people through this birthing of this amazing idea to impact women?
Yeah. Oh, man. It's been an incredible journey because to this day, it's a faith walk.
Yeah.
You know how it is. You start something, you're like, how is it going to really come to play? When I first started, it was my first idea and thinking was, I can impact community. I want to impact community. So I was able to grab women immediately. It birthed and God opened huge doors. And it was in the town of Galt.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and we were able to give a lot of money to the community, to the nonprofits, and we were doing events every month. I was having like 100 women come to these events. It was really incredible. But at I want to say almost a year later, I felt something was missing. I'm like, these women love to serve. I said, but there's something missing in them. They're tired. And a lot of them, I see myself in the way I was, without purpose. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to the Lord and saying, something has to shift here. I can't just have them work and work and work. It's got to be more to this. And immediately was impressed in my heart, yes, there is more. You're now going to impact their lives. You're going to help them discover their purpose. And so from there, I pretty much started doing my own little workbook. And when I looked at everything I was writing, I thought, this is what I did for me. And now I'm going to do this for other women. And so that was really amazing for me. So I was 2 years into Women Inspired Network, and that's when Destiny Women Global was birthed. And that's when the identity, discover your purpose, believe in the mandate, and create it with passion. Because we as women are created for greatness. Amen. And we all have a purpose. Every human has a purpose, but
without a doubt.
Yeah, but as a woman, because that's my calling. Women are now my calling, and I see now how burdened women are, and how afraid they are, to take that step. They have dreams. Mm-hmm. The dreams are buried and they're deep, but that was me. That was me. And
as a Christian.
Yeah, as a Christian, as a believer, knowing that, we
you knew
serve
you had
a big
purpose,
God.
But you didn't feel like it.
I didn't feel like it.
Would you say that this organization is truly faith-based? Is that aware? Is that known?
Absolutely. Once you come in, it's without a shadow of a doubt, you cannot do inner work without believing there is a God, without knowing, even when you just think about purpose, how can you think about purpose without God? We've had a purpose before we were born. We were purposed. So absolutely, but I am in the marketplace because I'll never forget the Lord speaking to my heart and showing me through His Word that I was going to now step into the Gentile nation. And I was going to draw women. I was going to draw women in. I was going to help them discover their purpose. But once they came in the door is when, I would be able to share, the purpose that God has for us.
So you kind of have a veil as far as what it is, and until people decide to open the gift.
Yes.
So it's here's the present. Now you get to decide if you want to open it or not.
Absolutely. Okay. Because what I have noticed, and I have such a peace about that, because this is just kind of I feel like it's the God strategy that He's giving me. Just
you
let
gotta
them
do what
in.
You gotta do.
Just let them in. Let them in. Then, but it's been very, very incredible. All women need this. Mm-hmm. The body of Christ, but even women that don't know Christ. All women need to know who they are. And they need to know. We need to become that Proverbs 31 woman, the entrepreneur that works hard with, full integrity. Amen. And it's just very important to me. And I live for this. Every time I talk to a woman, I will drive away crying because I could see that their destiny's buried and they have not built up the courage to bring it out, And so my biggest dream is that this leadership program that was created gives them the courage. We've created such a safe culture in our leadership team where it's okay to cry and it's okay to share your vulnerability because
it's all a part of the journey.
It's a part of the journey, and that's where the strength is. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times we put on this happy mask, we put on,
so true.
Yeah, and it's no, You know, it's okay. Be you. It's okay. Are you afraid? Well, then let's talk about that, and let's try to remove that. Why are you afraid? What took you to that place, and heal from that place. You know, and so that's what's important to me, is helping women discover who they are, whose they are, and that's what I live for. And I literally just started a nonprofit foundation, also a Destiny Women Global Foundation, because I still have a heart for the young generation.
Exactly.
Like, my heart is still definitely, you know, swollen for them as well. And so if you were to ask me, well, what does that look like exactly? I don't know completely, but I will use the same Discover, Believe, Create program, and I want to impart it into the young women that don't have that opportunity to know their purpose. Like, how do you go about that? You know, a lot of people just don't know. A lot of adults, if you go to them, like, do you know what your purpose is?
Yes.
They'll be stunned. You know, they'll be like, what? You know?
I have something to stun you. I've been hearing it quite a bit just throughout you talking, and actually before I left on a mission trip for Mexico for 3 months, I made a video about it, about who you are, it's not what you do. So you know how we attach our identities to what we do rather than who we are in Christ?
Yes.
So if somebody were to come up to you, or just me sitting here right now, who are you, Sonia?
I am, number one, a child of God.
Amen.
Okay, and number two, I know now who my identity is and who God created to me. And He created me to become a very powerful woman, a movement leader, to help women lead their movements so that they can rise up confidently and so they can rise up confidently and lead themselves and lead others.
You know, you're very inspirational. I wanted to ask you, even though that you have this, I mean, just so much passion for this, I know without a shadow, without a doubt, that you probably still go through some insecurities, some doubts occasionally.
Oh my goodness,
how do you deal with that? Because now that you know that, no, those are the lies of the enemy, like, no,
Absolutely.
I have a purpose. But how do you conquer those days where you're just a little off and you just kind of feel,
We all have those days, and this week was one of those days. This week was one of those days, and so I have to, what works for me is definitely reminding myself who I am. Okay, it's affirming who I am every day. I actually have this big poster board, and those remind me who I am.
That's so smart.
And it's very important that we declare, that we bring out, that we speak life to ourselves, you know. But yeah, life hits us. Life hits everybody, you know, but we do have to go back to identity. Okay, who are you and what is your purpose and why are you doing what you're doing?
It serves a greater purpose.
Absolutely. And so I do have to remind myself, you know, I'm in a much better place, but no doubt I have to remind myself because, you know, the heart can break and, you know, and life happens.
Isn't it a little relieving that somebody like so inspirational still has her trials and tribulations and she still has her stumbles and falls? I mean, I know me too. I mean, we're not some like perfect, have it all together things. I mean, there's a lot that still goes on, and it's all a part of the creating and molding process. And I have never sat down and talked to a life coach before, so I think this is kind of neat. You know, you could be sitting at home and you could just sit back and be inspired. And I would love to kind of pick your brain a little bit of what's the process that you undergo with these young women and these women in general just to find their purpose. So for somebody who's watching and who may not feel confident or may not know where they are in life or what their purpose holds or even who they are. What are some steps that you think that they should take in order to feel more confident and to believe and know that they have a purpose? Yeah,
I think the first thing that I make them aware of is where they're at. I think you need to fully understand where you're at and then what they want. And so then I can figure out those missing pieces that they're needing. And so through coaching, and every woman is different. So that's been a very interesting journey because, you know, I could have like 15 women in a table, and at the same time, they're all in a complete different journey. You know,
Crazy
so
how life works.
it is. It's pretty amazing. So I basically just take them deep from where they're at. A lot of times it's just personal, even on a one-on-one, and then just figuring out what their passions are, figuring out what gives them a righteous anger, you know, about life. And so I just start pulling out, you know, their hearts, and then, man, it's the most beautiful thing when they get the aha moment and they go, wow, like, I didn't realize that since I was a child, there's been this connectedness of what I'm called to do. But now that my life has had a pattern interruption, you know, pain, heartache, you know, like mine was, then God uses that along with the purpose that was they were already born with. And so then I just help them connect that, and then helping them find, you know, who they're called to serve. You know, and it's just every week. We actually meet every week because I think it's very important for us to stay on top of their goals and their passion, because life happens. Yes, and if they don't, you know, have a mentor or a coach or a safe support group, it's just really easy to fall back if you still have a lot of inner work to do. So I did, so I created a workbook, and it's very personalized because.
Where can people find that?
Huh?
Is there somewhere?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, well, you have to join the membership in order to actually belong.
And
eventually,
you guys can find that at the website.
yes, and I will be eventually doing these products online.
Okay.
So right now, I wanted to do them, you know, live to make sure that it works.
People are being receptive to it.
Yes, and that they're getting the tangible results. And it's been incredible. I would say probably the most beautiful and amazing thing about the Destiny Women Global is the transformation. It's the transformational leadership. It's the women being completely transformed, you know, and it is just an incredible experience for me to see. And I'm just so thankful to the Lord that He's allowed me. I would have never thought in a million years that, you know, I was so broken, I would never speak or even pray in front of 20 people. And now He has me speaking, and now He has me mentoring and
Look where
coaching.
You are now.
Yes, and now I'm feeling and sensing that I am coming full circle and going back to the younger generation, because I really believe that our young generation is lost, and they definitely don't have an identity. They just so busy with so much clutter of this world and music and social media and all this stuff, and they have no idea that they're losing themselves. And so I think that this program will be really good for them. And so I'm just waiting for God to show me, you know, where.
Which I know He will.
I'm not even worried.
Right?
I already know now, God. Everything's in His timing. So, So
I know a big part of taking this walk and being a woman of leadership and a woman just kind of there for other women, you struggle with time management. I know with me too.
Man.
But the thing is I know for me personally, when you're doing so many different things and you're wearing so many different hats and you're helping so many people, you can become spiritually, mentally, and physically drained.
Yes.
And so as another woman of God, I would love to hear just kind of how you continue to fill yourself each and every day.
Yes.
So you're always on that high and you're not like slowly draining to the point where you just crash, because I know that's something that I have a trouble with, and I'm sure a lot of other people have the same problem. So what are your tips of just kind of being continuous in your walk with God and continuing to develop?
I think having a walk with God is definitely being in relationship all the time.
Exactly.
Not just a solid prayer in the morning. However, I do that. I think it is important for me to spend time with the Lord, meditate on Him, and really, you know, hear for direction and, you know, and hear Him speak. I think that means everything to me. You know, it's like, you know, having that space, but not, and so then I get up and then I'm hustling. You're right. It's the big hustle. It's
exactly.
But it's also just, you know, even talking to Him about the business, even throughout the day, you know, and I think that's what really keeps me focused.
I think we sometimes forget that it's not a religion. It's
Thank you.
it's nothing
Yes.
like that. It's truly a relationship. And a
It
relationship,
is.
you have to work at it. You have to earn trust. You have to have communication.
Yes.
And it's
All the time.
so much more. I mean, faith is just so much more than just a word, and it's so much more than just a belief. I mean,
absolutely. It's a walk. It's walking. It's walking with God. It's talking with God. It's like, okay, God, where is the address?
Exactly.
No, literally,
Exactly.
like it's okay because He's with us. He's with us all the time, and it really is a beautiful thing. I used to be that religious, where I felt like God wouldn't be with me unless I was on my knees.
Let's go to church. Or
Oh my goodness. And it's like I have now a whole different perspective on God, and it's allowed me to be me and to grow, because now I'm not putting God so much in a box and putting myself in a box. It's like, it's okay.
Free will.
It's okay. Be free. We are called to be free, and I would
Soar
say,
wings like eagles.
yeah, and I've never been more free than now. And it's been a very incredible journey. Very incredible journey.
This is why I love just the whole purpose of Shasta's journey.
Yeah.
Because it's not about me. It's about the people who are able to share their stories, and each and every one of you, I want you to share your stories, because it is so vital for people to know that they're not alone, and that people have gone through it and they've overcome it. And it's so vital to share your stories. There's something that you've been through, something that you've gone through that I haven't, and there's some people out there that I can't speak to. But you know what? Sonia can, and you can too. And I think that's why Shasta's journey, it's so important. Like having her on the show, I mean, it's remarkable. I'm sure how many people you're going to teach, heal, or inspire. And we actually have about 2 minutes left, but I would love for you to just spill your guts of just inspiration to everybody. If you were to look in the camera and truly just speak to the viewer right now.
Yeah. You want me to look at the camera?
Yeah, what did you say? I mean, and you have so many inspirational words.
Yeah. What I would say is most definitely finding your purpose is takes a lot of courage, because it brings up a lot of wounds. It's really looking deep into your heart and digging those things out that are hindering. But what I would say to you is it's worth it. It is so worth it. You're not going to know fully who you are, your full identity, and you're not going to fulfill the purpose that you were created to fulfill until you look into yourself and realize, wow, if I remove these things, I'm going to really spread my wings and I'm going to shine the way we were called to shine. And I think that women need the courage.
Yes, they do.
And they have the courage.
Yes, and you guys too. And,
yes.
and you have so much courage. And I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. We're running out of time, but I hope you guys were taught, healed, and inspired by her. Please go check out the website, and also share your story at shastasjourney.com and look us up on Facebook. And I just hope you guys have such a blessed day and you feel empowered and confident to live your life completely and fully to serve the Lord.
Yes.
Bye, guys.